Hello, everybody, and welcome to our goal setting seminar, breakthrough goal setting seminar for the year 2021. Well, usually it is themed the Pathfinder goal setting seminar. It still remains the Pathfinder goal management and planning system. That's the journal. But at this time, we are calling it the breakthrough goal setting seminar. Why? Because we're doing it in an uncertain climate, amidst the prevailing circumstances, barriers, conditions, and all. You're all very welcome. This first session is free. I believe that you're already on your way. Some of you might have actually completed the task that was initially assigned. We gave you about 20 minutes to do that. In that, you're supposed to list down 20 things you would like to see happen for you within the next 20 years. We always do this at the beginning of our sessions because it's going to come in handy for our final session. And so I hope you use that time well, because that's part of our time management practice, as it were. And so I'm going to give a very quick overview of the things we'll be delving into today. There are 3 sessions. The first session, like I said, it's open to all. It's free. And here I'm going to be dealing with a topic that I have called 7 things you have to get done this year. Okay? And then session 2 will take about a 5-minute or so break, maybe a bit more, because for logistics purposes. And then we'll go into session 2. And in session 2, I'm going to go deeper into some issues, very, very pertinent session. That one, and I'm going to be talking about the power of resource allocation, very key. You will see these 2 sessions, session 1 and 2, kind of, they go hand in hand. And you'll be able to, as it were, ascertain or diagnose why, with all the best intentions in the world, you've not been able to get certain things done. Okay? And then the third session, session 3, is going to be a more or less like a tag team session. We're going to do something very different. When I say different, we're going to look at some things, yeah, but we're going to really practicalize it. And somewhere, between my son is going to come in. Yeah, after the first session, somewhere you'll get to find out later on, and then we're going to really delve into some things together. It's going to be a great and a fun day today. I'm really looking forward to exciting times with you. Okay, so let's get cracking. I don't know about you, but my year has already started. On a very fast pace. It's already intense. The first week, was quite intense. And, this is why when we look at what it is we're looking at today, you would understand why it is important to set goals very quickly. Because if you don't do that, yeah, you can easily get swarmed, by the vicissitudes of life. All right, so let's get into our session quickly. 7 things. What you want to do is take this link, yeah? You can actually, take the link and share it with your friends, your family. Remember, it's free. This is free. It's free to you, but it is not, it's valuable. Many times when we say things are free, people don't put any value on it. It's free to you because we want to give. I want to give back regardless of whether a person can pay for a session or not. But this is share it very quick, as many people as possible. All right. Those who have paid for who have paid for the other sessions, just get ready. We'll be sending you a link later. If you want to pay for the session, do so right now, because there's a very short period during the break to do so, and you probably miss out. And there's a lot of logistics that has to go on behind making this all happen. Okay, so let's get cracking. Father, Lord, we thank you for your hand upon our lives. We pray by your Spirit that as we start off today, that you would inspire us, breathe upon all that we do. so that it will truly be a great year indeed. Well, only with your help, with your wisdom, with your insight, can we really make this year what it should be. Thank you for your direction. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Okay, so we're looking at 7 things you have to get done this year. What are the 7 things that you have to get done this year? I have been, teaching or talking about goal setting for 16, 17 odd years. Yeah, and I do this annually. And I have come across, or let's put it this way, I've come to an understanding that regardless of how well you set goals, when the rubber meets the road, when the year starts, yeah, you will find that certain things are pulling against, pushing. Certain things are really serve as barriers. It's almost like a wind blows, and that wind blows to, in a sense, kind of like in opposition, and it feels like as though the intention is to ensure that you never achieve those goals. And it can be really, really challenging. That's why by the time most people get to the end of January, first week in February, thereabout, their goals are out of the window. Okay? So just for context, I'm going to read a scripture to you, but it's not a scriptural, it's not a Bible teaching. It says, by this time you ought to be teachers, but you need someone to teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God, and you have come to need milk and not solid food. Now, what I want to focus on from here is, it says, by this time you ought to be. Usually, by the middle of the year, this is when I will talk about this thing. My question to you, however, is, at this age and stage of your life, what ought you to be by this time? What should you be by this time? For some, maybe by this time, I should have graduated if you're a student. Some might be, by this time, I should be married. Now, that, again, is another, it's not so much a goal, but a desire that is somewhat outside of your control. But, for some, it's an issue of, by this time, I should be out of debt. By this time, I should have written a book. By this time, I should, as it were, have my own home, as in all paid up. Or by this time, I should have my first home. Now, what are the things that hinder us from fulfilling the things that we should have done by this time? Thomas Edison put it this way, and I think it's so apt. Seeming to do is not the same as doing. Seeming to do is not the same as doing. Most people think, because we've come into a new year, as a result, automatically, you have a new you. Or everything, there's so much around celebrating and jumping and dancing, and we anoint ourselves, and it's good. Yeah, dance into the new year. You can dance into the new year, and it doesn't change your financial habits. It doesn't change your relationships. It doesn't change, the outcomes at work. Whether you are employed or unemployed, it doesn't change whether you have business contracts or not. And it doesn't change the price of sliced bread, except there's Brexit or there's something or the other that affects it externally. Yeah? So being busy is not the same as being productive. Being busy is not the same as being productive. And, this is essentially the key thought to what we want to look at now. It's about productivity. On Sunday, I mentioned, I stole a bit into what I'm going to be talking about in detail today. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Let's put it in another way. Activity is not the same as productivity. And I just did a bit of an etymology on the words activity and productivity. The word activity comes from the word actions. So this is what we usually say. I like the image on the screen. It is one thing to go to the gym. It's another thing to actually build the muscles. It's another thing to actually hit your fitness goals. Because you can go to the gym and tick it off as one of the things that you go to the gym 3 days. But if you go there to eat a burger, if you go there and you just hang around or whatever, okay? Or even if you go there and you actually carry the weights, but you are not actually doing it properly, yeah, you tick it off your to-do list, but you haven't really hit, So what I'm saying is actions is different, is very different from outcomes. Actions is the same way. It's one thing to say, oh, I'm at my desk and I'm working 9 to 5. It's not about the amount of hours you clock in on a thing. It's about that 9 to 5. What product did you come out with? What was the outcome? Because it's not, you don't have to work 9 to 5 to come out with the outcome. You can work 9 to 12 and come out with actually more. So it's about productivity is about the product or the outcome from the actions, the correct actions you put in. It's about correct actions. I learned, I'm not too much of a fitness person, but I learned that it's not about what you are carrying or not carrying. It's about carrying the right weight, doing the right number of reps, and working the right muscles. So you can say, I'm in the gym, I was in the gym for 3 hours. But if you are carrying the wrong weights, doing the wrong reps, that's activity, okay? Productivity is about producing a predetermined or pre-agreed products within a set time. It's about producing a predetermined or pre-agreed product within a set time. So my question to you is, what are the predetermined or pre-agreed products that you will like to see within a set time? So this year, what are the pre-agreed things? Now, this will depend on whether you are self-employed or employed. Okay? It will depend on your status and your position. If you are your own boss, it's a different matter. If you are working for somebody else, you can't just determine, oh, this is what I want to be. So there are two main things. So the question I want to ask right now is, what is your significant product? Which is, what is your bottom line as an individual, yeah, or as an employee or an entrepreneur, as a boss? What is your significant product? And to answer that, there are two questions I'm going to ask you. Who is your sponsor? Who is your sponsor? Okay? Or let's put it this way. I'm going to ask you 3 questions in order to answer this question. Who is your sponsor? Why were you employed? Why are you paid? And what will be the measure? What will you be measured by? You see, this is what will determine whether you are productive or not. Because if you employ a graphic designer as against employing an accountant, if the accountant comes and they just sit down and say, I'm here 9 to 5, but I was here now, and at the end of the week or month, they're expecting their pay. Say, well, we're not paying. So why? Because you didn't deliver on the account. And they're like, but I was here. I came in even 30 minutes to 9 a.m. and I left at 5:30. But the issue is, did you produce the account? That's their product. A graphic designer, on the other hand, is supposed to deliver a number of graphic elements, as it were, whether promotions or this or that, And so they were employed to produce promotional designs and packages, if it's Christmas cards, adverts, and all of that stuff. Yeah. But if the accountant spends his time working on Adobe Photoshop and other things, he's totally doing something else, and that may even be his passion. But the issue is, what were you employed for? He will not be paid for a phenomenal design he does on CorelDRAW, Adobe Photoshop, or any of that stuff. What he'll be paid for is balancing the account, ensuring that the staff get paid, when they should be paid, do all the VAT, inland, all of that stuff. Okay. Number 2 question is, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? And your purpose, well, as concerning employment, is determined by your employer. okay, or your sponsor. What is your purpose? Now, let's go back to, when I spoke about sponsor, I was speaking about employment. Now, I am not employed. I don't have a direct boss. Okay? I used to, but I don't have a direct boss like that. So my own sponsor is God. And even though I don't have a direct boss, you know what? I will give account. And, that's why I'm going back up to what is my purpose. Because everyone has God as their sponsor. Every single one of us. You are on this earth. You have been given a time allowance. You have been allowed to see 2021. You might not have seen it because heaven requires some deliverables from you in 2021. So we need to make that clear. So what precisely is your purpose? This is what will determine, as it were, your productivity. Because you can be on earth. Remember, when Jesus saw the tree wasn't producing. And what did he do? He cursed the tree. Because you're saying you're using up space here. You are active, you are producing leaves, but you are not productive. There's no product on your tree. Okay? And so between myself and my son, we come from the same home, but we have different purposes. At least at this moment. Yeah. So my own purpose, how the Lord will measure me is he will measure me by the number of souls I win. Yeah. The number of souls that get converted, that is discipled, pastored, on, and those that fulfill their destiny. My son, when he was a university student, his purpose was different. It was to pass the exam. And that was the product that was expected. I was his sponsor, apart from God being his sponsor. Now, his purpose is different. He's out of uni, and his product is very different. Yeah, he's doing a number of things, one of which is just founded a business, and he has investors. So his investors are his sponsors. He's employed by them. The product is blah, blah, blah to give them the return on their investment. If you're a farmer, and you could be watching from anywhere in the world, yeah, your product will be fruit. Yeah, so if you're an apple farmer, we're not going to be looking for pineapples from you. It will be, apple fruit. Like I said earlier, if you're a pastor, it will be won souls or discipled members. If you're a doctor, it will be cured patients. So what we're saying is, if you're a doctor and you open up your clinic, it's not, and this happens to doctors a lot. People come and all they're doing is they're just chatting with them. Some people, go, oh, how are you doing? How are the children? And all the, and they can spend all the time and forget to do the examination. And they say, okay, just take this paracetamol. But they spend the 30 minutes they had with them, doing other things. It happens all the time. If you're a coach, it's about improved business. So they paid for 1 hour, and you can just be chatting about their children. I remember seeing a coach in 1995, 96, and he came to see me. He was a Christian guy, so, but I'm sanguine. And so, the guy came in. It was supposed to be an hour, whatever. He came. I said, would you like some tea? Yes. I went to make tea for him. About 15 minutes was gone. Would you like so and so? And then by then it was 30 or so minutes. He then looked at me and said, look, I hope you know that the agreed time was from this time to this time. You've eaten into 30 minutes of your time. I'm like, serving you tea. This, I was being hospitable. He said, well, that's agreed. He is perhaps what they call a choleric. So he was like, look, man, 12 to 1 it is. And guess what? I was spending all the time making tea and small talk. And I only had 30 minutes left. Yeah. But, he could be the one that is even talkative and all of that stuff and making small talk. And then at the end of the day, they say, oh, 1 hour is left. And all we did was have a chat. And my business or my life is not improved. So, the product for a doctor is what? Cured patients. An accountant is monthly accounts and other deliverables expected from them. And when it's a mother, It is nurtured children. Some mothers, when they have, they feel like as though their life is not making any impact. But, that is perhaps maybe one of the greatest jobs in the world. You have people who went to uni, they're consultants, they're this, they get pregnant, and they start feeling like as though maybe they're not, their life is, no, that's the most important job in the world, raising, giving birth and raising the next generation. So a mother, every mother should be given kudos, clap for. Why? When their children are doing well. Okay? And so nurture children, that's your productivity. If you're a student, like I said earlier, good results. Now, based on that, I'm going to show you a wheel. I'm just going to give you a little glimpse into this wheel, which we will look at in more detail when I call it the wheel of life. Now, the wheel of life is generally a common thing, but I have my own personal add to it, my own, customized it my own way. And there are 8 dimensions I have put on this wheel: career, business, finances, ministry, health, family, spirituality, and growth. Okay? Now, when we look at this wheel in detail, right now I'm just going to, I want you to look at your life, based on your performance last year. Okay? What is your ministry? Let's start with finances. Were you productive in your finances? In that the things you expected to see happen, the goals you set last year, even if you didn't write them down, did you receive that product? Yeah? Whereby you say you wanted to come out of debt, or you wanted to double your finances. What about your business? Did you see the product? Were you productive? Did you get the outcome in terms of, well, you want to increase your customer base, increase subscription, double profitability, and all of that kind of stuff? Career goal, did you achieve those things? What did your boss say about your sponsor? Did you hit the targets? Or, were you spending more time on social media? And now this is not, did you spend more, so these are things that you need to look at, very critically, because you need to assess yourself. And this is what will determine whether you are productive or not. Okay, so let's look at the bottom half. And when we come to the sessions after this, I would show you that there's a difference between what you see above the red line and what you see below. Okay, now, growth-wise, this is about personal growth, personal development. Did you see the outcomes that you desired? Did you grow? Did you actually grow intellectually, academically, socially, and otherwise? Spiritually, what was your product? Were you productive here? I'm not saying did you fast, did you pray? A product, were there testimonies? Did you have encounters with God? Did you hear God? All of that stuff. Clear products. Family-wise, were you productive in that area? Improve relationships. Are your children advancing? Because, all the other things is about you. Are they doing well? Are they well behaved, or are they dysfunctional? Are they, becoming contributors in society? Your relationship with your spouse, is it improved? Is it enriched? Is it better? Is it more intimate? Are you more transparent with each other? And all of that stuff. And then health-wise, the same way. What are your health metrics? Those ones so when we're talking about productivity, remember, when we speak about health, you can say, I want to go to the gym. And you put that as a goal. Going to the gym is not the same as being more healthy. And these are the things I found out in the even supposed dieting. Because you could diet and then you do some measures and no movement. Yeah, in terms of your weight, and you even measuring things like blood pressure, blood sugar, and various other things. So what I'm saying is that in terms of product, there is clear, significant outcomes. Clear, significant. So let's get into that. What are the 7 things that you have to get done this year? The reason why I say have to, initially I put the word need to. It's not really need to. Because I'm going to talk to you about, number one, your product. The second thing I'm going to talk about is, or the rest, the 6 others I'm going to talk about are the things that compete for your product or for your productivity. Okay? And these are the things that it will have to happen, generally speaking. And the things that, have to happen can compete with the things that you want to happen and take away from those things. So let's look at it very quickly. The first thing, and they are all P's, the very first thing that you have to do or get done this year is, number one, is to deliver on your product. Is to deliver on what you have highlighted or identified as your product in terms of what will make you productive. Is it more customers? Is it increased profit? Is it to write a book? Is it to produce an e-course? Yeah, some of these things were part of my own supposed goals last year. Yeah? As in, these are the things I want to deliver at the end of the year. I mean, there were a number of things I highlighted. I wanted to develop, e-courses as last year, before 2019. I didn't have any. I said, before even the lockdown and pandemic, from 2019, November, December, I wanted to move into the digital space. And I wanted to, automize and also change the learning delivery to e-courses, the kind of thing that we're doing now. Okay, I was used to having physical courses and things, and I wanted to have it on demand. By the grace of God, I was able to deliver on them. Produce 4 prophetic institute courses. Yeah, 1 breakthrough. A number, and so I delivered on those things. I was able to write a book. And there are a number of things that I had as deliverables for me to be productive. Also in ministry, I had clear productive goals in which I delivered on. Now, when I speak about products and productivity, let me give you an example. We usually say we don't have the time. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. But you will find when you think in terms of product in the year or productivity, you would see the time that has been given to you. If you don't have a purpose and a product in mind, you will never find the time. But when you think in terms of products and productivity, you will see the time as opportunities. For us, yeah, in the ministry that I lead, our word for the year is the year of unusual opportunities. When you are product-focused and purpose-focused, you will find unusual opportunities in time gaps, like waiting at the doctor's surgery for your own time. Okay, like on the plane. Let me give you a very good example. Interesting scenario. 4 people are traveling from London Heathrow Airport to JFK, New York. It's a 6-hour flight. They all get on board, and they are sat within the same cabin, and one of them is watching the latest movie of what's the name of the Wakanda guy now? Chado, the guy that yes, Bossman Chado or something. Okay, or let's even say Denzel Washington's latest movie, and he's been wanting to watch it. Wow, free 6-hour flight. He actually has a goal to watch 2 or 3 movies, and he meets his goal. He watches it, watches them bang, 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 and doesn't sleep throughout the flight. The second guy, yeah, is just staring out of the window, just looking out. For 6 hours, sleeps sometimes, stares out of the window. The third guy reads a book throughout the flight. Okay, which of these people has been most productive? Okay, 4th guy what does he do? He writes a book throughout. The fourth guy writes a book throughout. And he's able to write maybe 2 to 3 chapters of his book that he's been wanting to write. And that book is maybe 10 chapter book that he intends to write. And what does he do? He writes through all the way to New York. On his way back, writes another 3 chapters. He's written 2/3 of his book, while the other guy has watched 6 movies. This other one twiddled his thumb, slept a bit, woke up. Maybe he got some rest. Sometimes that should be a product for people like myself who are never resting. You see, because at the end of that flight, I'm rested. My health is in better shape. In fact, people like where I am now, with the way I've spent all my life not watching movies on planes and just working. So rest is one of my products. Okay? And God did me a favor last year by helping me, with a lockdown. Because if not, I would have been on planes all over the whole place. Okay? Now, the third guy also has a product. Depending on what book he read, if it was a romantic book or whatever, if it was a book that, was in cognizant with his academics, a PhD or whatever, that's still a product. Yeah? But the guy who wrote the book has a legacy that is produced. He also has something that is going to earn him money, if he puts it out there while he's asleep. So he can be sleeping on other flights and people are buying his books. But it depends on what it is you want in life. Okay, so there's something called time exchange or time conversion. Time will only give you back what you put into it. If you put sleep into it, you get nothing back. But, if you put 7 years into study as a doctor, you'll become a doctor. Put 10 years into becoming a prophet, you become a proficient prophet. There's no, saying, oh, please, pray for me. And I go on and on. These are things that, it takes time to pray. It takes time to know God. Knowing God and praying can be a product because you want to be more anointed. You want to become stronger than your spiritual enemies. It's called spiritual empowerment. You want to build a good marriage. It takes time. You want to raise children. It takes time. Everything we see as a great product today is a function of anybody that you see has written a book, time. Time. This laptop we're seeing, it took time to produce it. And time is your raw material plus your skill plus your time. Your raw material. The guy who wrote the book, a piece of paper, raw material, pen, anybody can, pen and paper, just throw it down. You will still see pen and paper. But you have to add the skill. You need to know the ability to write, how to write. And that is why I won't blame the guy who sat down reading a book. He may be reading a book on how to write. And that is a product in itself. So it's about raw material, skill, plus time that delivers productivity. Okay? And I've emphasized the currency of time versus the currency of money. And how I wanted to buy a course for £3,000 or dollars, but even though it cost a lot and I would have felt the pinch, but I wasn't as concerned about the money spent as I was concerned about the time I would have spent, because it was going to require about 30 hours of my time. 30 hours of my time is a long time. They say, I think a university course or semester is about 100 hours or so, something to that effect. 30 hours is a long time for me, doing something on a fringe area. Yeah, it had something to not, it wasn't that, I guess it was a nice to know. But I could actually either employ somebody or get somebody as a consultant to help me look at that area. But I was keen on it. It's about the digital space. So, but 30 hours invested in my area, when we talk about stick to your knitting, in my area of expertise, whether in the prophetic or pastoral ministry, is not wasted time. It's time invested. And so the question is, where does all your time go? The urgent and distracting always get in the way of what is important. What did I say? The urgent and the distracting always gets into the way of what is important. Let me give you a classic example, just this week alone. So that, I had to look, I was like, wow, this has started. It's like, life is like a rushing stream or a rushing river. If you stand in it, it will not wait for you. It will push you along somewhere, and it may push you where you don't want to go to. If you are not already steering it, if you don't know where you are going to, your boat will be pushed anywhere and everywhere. So, you see, this week I had to wrestle. So, hey, Happy New Year, 31st. And we're still wishing each other Happy New Year, till 6, 7, and all that. But all of that, I knew that the first week I have to be planning. So I had planning. So I haven't sat down. See, I've not been able to sit down to do my plans. Guess why? Why? Because I had these things to do to teach you how to plan. My own personal plans, I have not been able to sit down, and I need that time. Can you see how life passes? Okay? So, and am I doing a good thing? Yes. Okay? But you can teach other planning and not plan. Can you see that? Like a doctor can treat other people and be dying. Yeah, then somebody else invited me to speak at the conference. I had to run, what I would not normally do. I had to go out to go and record, do the recording, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm like, look, I'm actually, working for other people and working on their plans. And it hasn't delivered on mine. And then I have the coaching section. I got an executive coach, blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to have a meeting with him. I put him on pause. Now, that's very important. Then there are general programs in the church to run. And, I had to come and record that. That's part of my sponsor. That's part of my deliverables. Okay? Then, I've developed an app called the Power Circle, blah, blah, blah. That's part of it. I'm developing another app, 2 apps. Okay? Those are products that I need to do. Then there's Sunday service, and then there's my pastoral duty. And then there are administrative functions. Can you see? You see, if you don't list these things like this, you just... if you don't, you will find, that you say, oh, okay, these are the things I wanted to... So what was the goal for the week? To plan. Last week, I didn't. The product for last week was supposed to be planning. Okay? But let's put it this way, I could not. Do I feel so bad about it? I wish I did, but next week we will do it. But this is how the river of life just, just keeps moving and not waiting. You say 2020, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. You've already moved to 7th or 8th, now the 9th of January. And, before you know it, you're already at the end of the first quarter. And you might not still have your plan. So, now, what are the rivers that move you? Because it's about number one is the product. Number two, one of the rivers that move you, and these are the things you have to get at the programs. Certain programs will keep happening. So, like I said to you, one of the programs is every year we have a goal setting seminar. So that's where it will happen. So, my own product of having a plan had to submit to this goal setting. Because it's a program. You get what I'm saying? The same way, you see, if you're a student, your academic lectures will have to submit to, if it is, your regular 9-to-5 job is a regular program. If you're a church worker, the church workout, annual vacation, by the time, you say, we've already booked it. We're going. So they are setting Sunday service, it will come. And this is where some people stop Sunday services because they didn't deliver. And what happens is that, certain things start to suffer because you start robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah? And then you miss the service. I said, so if you don't manage your life well, you see, this river will just move you where you don't want to end up. Number 3. The second thing that competes with your product or your productivity is the processes, the normal processes of life. And what are these? These are what I call maintenance things. Yeah? Even if you didn't have program, and you see, you have programs. You have things that you just, look, and when I say programs, I mean, some just crop up on you. Just yesterday, somebody texted me, first of all, 3 days ago, somebody texted me, I hope you know you'll be the one saying the prayer at my 50th. I said, really? I said, okay. Now, when I looked at the person, I can't say no to that person. That person is a relative. I said, okay. So when is it? Said on Sunday. I said, okay. So why it doesn't fall into the other areas that I've been paid for to work on? It's Sunday, and I also have a prayer meeting. I said, oh, is that? I said, well, I will show up for 15 minutes, and I will come because I need to be there. So these things will come. You just have impromptu programs. Then yesterday, somebody said, sorry, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, there's somebody else doing the 50th, and it's a surprise. I said, really? When is it? Today. I said, so far it does not clash with my other program, which is from this time to, it's right after. I said, I have a prayer program. I have to go setting. There are also other programs. Can you see how, other people, if you don't plan your life, other people will plan it for you. So other people, never forget, other people's programs will impinge on yours. Okay, so what are the processes? You must always factor that, listen to this. There are certain things that have to happen. Consistency always stands in the way of creativity. Let me explain what I mean. You see, this I discovered, what I'm sharing with you now, it was 2018. I said, I made serious plans. And by the time we reached half the year, I hadn't delivered on any of the products, or the main products I wanted, and I was like, what? Because life was happening. And when I say life, they may not even be hurricane events, cataclysmic events, just the normal niggling, normal day-to-day requirements of life. So what are the processes? Things like your normal daily chores, washing dishes, doing the laundry, cleaning that's why some people actually don't do it. They just leave all these things, and then and why? Because they say that geniuses, people, the likes of what's his name, the guy that discovered Louis Pasteur. The way he discovered it because he left bread, he left something. That's how the mold grew. But that's no excuse. That don't say you're untidy, then that means you're a genius. No, that's not what it means. But cooking. This is why I salute and I give kudos to my wife. That woman is a powerful. She's able to do all these things and still deliver serious products. I'm telling you, I respect her so much. Cooking. By the time you are cutting meat, doing this, and also still deliver a product of looking good. And product of powerful messages. But these are the things that fight for one's time. School runs, paying bills, and all of that. Women are very, very, you must salute them. They'll still look nice. And the hair by itself, that one is a project by itself. But these are normal. When I say process, these are things for normal living, day to day. If you don't pay the bills, things will be cut off. Your lights, your gas, your daily chores. Yeah. If you don't cook, well, it's a different. You don't do the dishes, all of those things. But they take time. So you could have woken up and said, I'm going to go and write this book. I'm going to finish my dissertation. But then you jam plates. But you see, so you say, that's wrong. But you have to have a tidy home. You have to, So, but then you now find out there's something that you did, and they just wore you out. Then after you finish, then you have to go back. You go back and sleep for energy. Then you say, I'll do it tomorrow. Can you see how these things steal your productivity? Number 4 is pressures. Hallelujah. Pressures. What are the pressures? In fact, I add another way of looking at it is panic. Urgent, unforeseen circumstances. They usually come in the form of phone calls, texts, emails. I add social media. Because many of us make it an urgency. Now, why do I call them pressures? Because listen to this. These things, they impinge on us. As on our way here, my son and I discovered an important information. They say these are what we call their distractions. They say that those who have their phone around them all the time, you can have as many times as 2,600 or so notifications or so, as in times you touch your phone to look at. Can you imagine that? A day. Say some even over 5,000 times. 5,200 times a day. Now, many of us are guilty of this. So those of you who are watching me and you send me text, and please, this is why you don't hear from me. Until, when I say apologies for the delay, this is the reason why. Because in the daytime, morning, daytime, morning is for prayer till a certain time. Now, what I found out is, in order to get my work done, I have to not respond. I have to just not look at that thing. So, and until a certain time in the day, let me tell you one time that I usually respond to my messages, WhatsApp, is usually in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, after I've done certain things. So before I go back to sleep, after I've done something, So that's you could see my messages at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. Well, better, because you'll be sleeping at that time. Then you wake up and meet it. But is this making sense? So because let me tell you, urgency, if it is urgent, don't worry. That those who know me know how to get me when it is extremely urgent. But you see, many things that don't seem urgent are not really that urgent. I leave that for another day. Text, emails, should not necessarily be checked all the time. Okay? Social media, we are, in the middle of the day when you are checking, this post, this. Now, interestingly, social media is part of my work because it's outreach. Yeah. When I say social media, I don't go use social media to be checking, what's this person wearing? It's an assignment. This is, my posts are not frivolous. They are, it's part of my work. And that's why I can't shut down social media altogether. If it were not so, I would have shut it down. Okay? And then other things that, number 5 thing that competes for your time, that, your productivity, projects. What are these projects? Well, you can call them products in themselves, but so if you have a building project, so in the midst, I remember that 2018, in the middle of that, where there's also building, you are trying to build, there's maintenance, you are having church services, you are doing this, you are doing, there's counseling. And so the thing that you even said, that you said you wanted to do for the year, you could not do because of normalcy of normal life. Then there are things like, when I say projects, for your own personal life, in your own life, maybe you are buying a house or renting, just moving. Do you know that's a lot? This is one of the most stressful things in this life is moving house. In terms of stress measurements, things that make, after death and things like that, moving house is one of the top on the list. After things like death and divorce, the next is childbirth. Childbirth is a project. Pregnancy is a project. That's why you should minimize the number of children that you have. If you have 6 children, the birth, it takes your time and energy and life. Having them is one thing. The pregnancy, then looking after them. Those are your products. You find out that will be your contribution to society, your biological. Yeah, because unless you are John Wesley's mom, who had 8 or 9 children and was able to navigate, and at least 2 of them made, global impact, generational impact. That was a mother. All right. So projects include things like, you're moving house, you have a baby coming, you have a wedding. Now, I want you to realize if you are getting married, it's going to take up literally your whole year. The fitting, the this, the that. So, you need to factor all of these things in. Oh, your 50th. I remember when I was, my 50th, even though the number of the things were surprises and all of that stuff, but it still required, sometimes my wife would, say, so, okay, these are the supposed guest list, at least the ones that, blah, blah, blah. There was one time we had to go all the way to, like, Heathrow to go and check out food. I'm like, what is this? Can they just not come and give them paper plates and just serve KFC or something? But what I'm saying is, these are all things that suck the air, the oxygen out of the products that you should deliver on. So you are planning your own wedding, that's one. Then when you now go and start planning somebody else's wedding and attending, you say, hey, you had to. Or like my son, these are part of the things that while he was at uni, what was the main product? Come out of, I didn't even say first class, graduate. Graduate with a marketable degree. You know what I mean? So, but what was he? He went down and took on, he said, Dad, I want to run for ACS president. I said, my guy, look, I'm your sponsor. That's not what we said to you. It will distract you. But then I went back and I said, okay, well, I prayed and I just felt, well, he's studying political science. Politics, well, there's a difference between theoretical politics and politics. Okay, so it will actually, serve towards his education. But then he came on, I want to do a conference. Those are projects that are not, they don't contribute to the product, but they are good things. Yeah, and then all sorts of things started coming, and then, then ACS ball, this and that, projects. So halfway through his course, when he now said, he was exhausted. Of course you will be. Because, you only have so much time and energy. And when you so we had to now recalibrate and say, look, what exactly is your product? Yeah? And so there are many, and this, I'm going to talk about this, tomorrow at service. I'm going to talk about, and some today, not every opportunity is a good opportunity. Not everyone. Some opportunities are distractions. They take you off, yeah? Then number 6 is progress. Now, this progress, these last 2 are good deliverables. But still, like I said, they also, because time is finite, yeah, they also compete and contend with that product. So number 6 is progress. What is progress? These are the things that you do to grow. In all of this, so let me use my son. I mean, because we're both here as like facilitators. Yeah, while he was at uni, his ultimate product was a degree. Yeah, with a reasonable marketable degree at the end of the day, good results. Okay, but at the same time, he was buying books on Amazon, this and that. And what are you studying? So he didn't have anything to do with his degree, But he was developing business. Do you know books on business, books on this and that? Now, hear this. Are those things good? Yes, very, very good. And broadened his scope and all of that. He was also attending courses, in the uni, business, whatever. But he was a politics student. So while he was making progress in terms of growth, which is very good, or even if he decided to go on a Bible school, you understand? And excellent, but then after a while, he said, exams are coming. I'm attending a lecture on theology. No. What is the product? So what I'm saying is progress is good. Growth is good in as much as it does not compete with your productivity. So reading, continuous improvement, learning a new language or a new skill, they are all very good. Yeah? So, in fact, you need to create time for creativity. But so in as much as it does not compete with your product, what you'd say, this is your most important thing. And I will tell you how you can determine that in the next session. Then the last thing is propagation. What is propagation? Listen to this. These last two things are very good, but they still compete with your product, which is propagation is about reproduction. So, while my ultimate product here as a pastor is to win souls, disciple them, blah, 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 but I also have to replicate. I have to produce more leaders, train, cluster leaders and things. Listen to this. But you know what? Those things still compete with other things unless I make this one a product. Whereby I say, okay, I want to raise new leaders. So this is one of the reasons why last year, one of my main products, so last year, I will tell you, I reduced, maybe I'll talk about that in the next session, but to 3 or 4 main things that I try to focus on. One of them was to raise prophetic people. So I gave most of my time to raising a crop of prophetic people because I looked at it that if I die today, all that I know in the prophetic will go with me. But I should do like Elijah and raise Elishas who will be able to carry it on. So there's time that should be given to mentoring. There's times that should be given to reproducing yourself. So my question to you is, and you see all these things I talked about on page. If you have the Pathfinder journal, it's actually in there. If you have the old one, well, you don't have this in your journal. Can I have the new one, please? Because the one I have here is, I have my 2019, and I have my 2020. So every year we add something new. No, it's not actually on there. I need one of the newer ones. Okay, okay. Thanks, excellent. So my son has this here. Nice color too. All right, so if you got your own journal, lift it up, let's see. Even though I can't see you. Yeah, if you haven't gotten it, it's either you ordered it late, and this period, lockdown post can be a challenge. So, on page 57, we have a place where you can write it down. 7 things you need to get done this year. It's all there. You want to write down, what are your products? What are your products? What are the programs competing with your products? Weddings, anniversary this year, that you need to write them down. What are your processes so that you see them? What are the areas you need to progress in? Maybe some courses that you're going to take and things. What are the pressures, the kind of things? The projects. Then, lastly, what is your propagation? Who are you supposed to be developing? So that you have it all lined out, and it will not be an instance where, like I said to you, this first week of this year swooshes by, and you are well-intentioned, but you couldn't do it because of the 6 things that competed with your productivity. Thank you, and God bless you for listening. Well, we've come to the end of the first session, right on time, and and so we've come to the end of the session, and so we're going to switch to the second session. I'm just going to give a few minutes break, maybe 5 minutes break. Now, those of you who are on here, this is the free session. The other sessions are paid, okay? And so we're going to have 2 sessions. We're going to switch to Zoom, all right? So if you're interested in joining the other sessions, or you're interested in the journal, you can go to the link to the website. We need to put the website on there, which is on the screen apparently, yes, right now. Go there. Is it www.pi or HTTP? No, do they have to put www? Sometimes if you put www, I don't think it goes there. I'm not sure. Anyway, if you have any challenges, let us know. And so, yeah, so I'll be back, and I'm going to be, hitting this harder and breaking it down some more to show you some things, how you can really, that even after you set your productivity, yeah, there are still some other things within your productive zone that can take your time and will make you less productive. All right, see you in a bit. Thanks for joining us. God bless you. Okay.